Welcome to everybody present today. Before we start and further welcoming, I would ask us to have a moment for silent prayer or meditation. Thank you. And Nosipo, any apologies?
Good morning, Chairperson. Yes, we did receive an apology from the minister. She can't attend the meeting due to bereavement in her family. Also, Deputy Minister Sihlulo has a prior meeting with the Scandinavian Water Safety.
Of the department until the period end of December this year of last year, which is the third quarter report. In the main, the Chairperson want to convey our sincere thanks to you for conveying the words of condolences to our minister for the passing of the nephew that was a dependent to her. And we'll also convey the message in as much as you'll be sending a letter that the portfolio committee convey those words of condolences. In the third quarter, cumulatively, Chairperson, we are very pleased that we continue to receive support from you as a chair and the portfolio committee. Our reforms for the water sector are starting to take shape, but the impact is not at the level where we want. Yes, we are acutely aware now that the president has declared this matter of water problems as a national crisis, like you have said yourselves as members. The issue of the reforms of the delivery model by local government, the water services authorities, especially the water services providers, that they must be professionalized in terms of performance-based contracts, including the issue, Chairperson, of operating license. We needed to conclude the instrument that will be able to allow us to do that, which is the amendment in the legislation. And our biggest ask or request to you is that we have to be able to move with speed with the Water Services Amendment Bill, Chairperson. It remains a very important issue to give effect to the reforms on some of these things that ordinarily municipalities should do of running water services systems as a business entity or a localized business entity as a trading entity, ring-fenced resources with capabilities. The other issue we're very pleased now is that we have concluded as a department the issue of norms and standards, because it's one of the things that the law says we must do. And equally, we're also pleased that during the same period, these reforms have made us to conclude the issue of the SPV with Mfuleni. And I was there on behalf of the minister to open it. Is not going to give us the results, Chairperson, at the speed we want. The damage that has happened to Mfuleni over time with respect to infrastructure and governance and its financial viability, we are working in that particular risk. And our reforms, Chairperson, were very pleased to continue to report our performance with respect to water use licensing, which is the most important issue to unlock issues of economic opportunities and access to water. We still meet our 90 days delivery, and we're at 80% as you are aware. And then later this end of this month, Chairperson, after we reintroduce the drop reports, we are very pleased that the green drop and the blue drop reports, we should be able to release it at the end of March. And the minister has chosen a date that we should be able to release it. But we are also going to be later doing a review on the commitments municipalities made with the issues of the decision we made in the local government, in that water and sanitation sub-indaba we held, and see what happens. On the risk side, Chairperson, we continue to have risk when it comes to the payment of services, especially to the water boards. And the debt, Chairperson, is now escalating. The debt now, Chairperson, is at 27 billion. It's not going down. But our intervention to engage provincial governments and the premiers and MEC and municipalities, it has improved. And what do you call it? Payment plans are signed. But the levels of defaulting, Chairperson, is a matter of concern. Even some of the municipalities that used to pay us well, they are struggling now in terms of the debtors' days. Johannesburg is starting to have problems and others to do that. At least our problem child, Machabing, for the first time, we've concluded the engagement with them to conclude the SLA and then also the payment plan. Just this morning, there is an expectation that the water board will receive that. And then the department chair, very pleased that a number of infrastructure projects that have been delayed, we continue to unblock them, and a number of them have been launched. Even we used this water month to launch a number of them. And then the issues of unserved communities, because we must never forget them. We should be working with yourself, Chairperson, to look at alternative water sources, spring protection, use of groundwater where infrastructure is not there. And there's a clear plan on how to support them. But we're very pleased that the department continues to ensure that there is no under expenditure or money going back to the national fiscus with respect to our grants. The idea that you helped us as a portfolio committee to convert direct grants into indirect grants where they can perform has been happening well and is helpful. But also the issue of trying to hold back equitable share. Since you put your foot down, the Minister of Finance has been very helpful so that there is a payment of those services. Those are some of the issues, Chairperson, until to the third quarter, which is the end of December last year, that I thought I should be able to raise. And then I'll hand over to our Director General, with your permission, Dr. Sean Phillips, that they go to the non-performance information, non-financial performance information, and the financial performance information so that we can engage with yourselves on the issues that the department has been able to achieve. Thank you so much, Chair.
Thank you very much, Deputy Minister. Can we then go to Dr. Sean Phillips? I had a discussion with the DG, half an hour to 40 minutes. Is that sufficient time for you to do your presentation?
Yes, thank you, Chairperson. It's more than sufficient. Good morning to you and good morning, honourable members, Deputy Minister and colleagues. As indicated by the DM, the purpose of this meeting is to discuss the third quarter report for the 25-26 financial year. The honourable members should have the presentation. Hopefully it was distributed. And you will see from the presentation that the Deputy Minister has covered the first few slides. So Zuko, I think we can move straight down to where the non-performance information starts. And I'll hand over to Babawa to, as usual, present on the non-financial performance. Babawa.
Thank you, DG. Good morning to the honorable committee members, the colleagues online GM. Just to indicate that the cumulative performance, this is a non-financial performance, cumulatively until the end of December, as the DM has indicated, this slide just indicates the usual comparison between the financial and non-financial expenditure per program. We're currently sitting at 60% in terms of non-financial performance, and the expenditure is at 77.4%. We also provided the committee with the comparison of the same period from the previous financial year, which indicates on the left-hand side at 68%, and currently this year it's just a slight regression of 8% compared to the previous financial year. In terms of preferential procurement, we are on track based on the cumulative performance. We are currently exceeding the planned targets of 30% for SMMEs and 15% for exempted micro enterprises and qualifying small enterprises cumulatively. For the designated groups, we are currently sitting at 88% procurement for companies owned by Black at a cost of 2.8 billion by the end of the third quarter, with women-owned companies currently at 32% at 906 million, youth at 307 million at 11%, and persons with disabilities is a bit below 1%. It is at 12 million rands. If you look at, this is just a graph that indicates the program performance and the third quarter achievements, just to indicate that cumulatively, we slightly, in terms of our internal audit plan, we currently 4% below, and our risk management plan, we currently at 13% below, but we are indicating that these activities are planned to be met in the subsequent, which is the current quarter, fourth quarter. Also, the safety inspections, we currently below. We are planning to meet these targets by the end of the fourth quarter. The financial recovery plan and the debtors days, it's actually what the DM spoke about in terms of us, even though there's a slight improvement, but we still are not able to meet our 120 days as we had planned by the third quarter. If you look at the infrastructure agency, we had planned that we would have had a governing board appointed, but it is currently not appointed, but the process to appoint them is underway. For the second program, water resources management, actually indicates the two sub-programs in this space. Slide 20, all these slides are actually indicating the achievements for the third quarter. We just currently highlighting in this slide that in terms of our record of implementation decisions that we should have finalized, we are just indicating that two of those milestones have not been met in terms of the water, Breedeberg water transfer scheme, and the that other one, the second one, that we have not met the milestone. We're just indicating that we have an acceleration plan underway, and it should be, we're hoping that it should be met by the end of this quarter. Similarly, with in terms of the resource quality objectives, just one that we are still slightly delayed in terms of finalizing it. And if things are going well in terms of the acceleration plan, we should be meeting this target also by the end of the fourth quarter. Construction, the DM mentioned the projects that have been unblocked. You'll see that if we have unblocked them, partially met some of the milestones, and one of the milestones is currently exceeded, to indicate that the acceleration plan is actually yielding positive results. But there are specific additional slides that detail this acceleration plan that we've actually provided to the committee. This one as well, we just have two of these milestones that have not been met in terms of dam safety rehabilitation. We just have to accelerate certain projects from the previous financial years, but we are actually completing some of the projects as planned. Also, in terms of the conveyance systems, we do have some rehabilitation that is underway. Even though we are currently partially there, we're hoping that the acceleration plan that is implemented would yield positive results in this space. In terms of compulsory licensing, we are currently experiencing several technical issues that have been raised by stakeholders. This is one of these targets that we probably foresee that we might not be able to meet by the financial year, considering the complexities that we're experiencing on the ground. In terms of the resource-directed measures and oversight assessments, also this one, we can, the resource-directed measures, we're planning to accelerate and meet this one by the fourth quarter. But in terms of the oversight assessment, it's probably one of those that we foresee that we might not be able to meet, because we are still currently capacitating the new CMAs to ensure that they can actually take over some of these delegated functions. Economic regulator, we do have work that is underway, and we foresee that also with the wastewater systems for monitoring, the DM actually indicated that we'll be publishing some of the reports, so we'll be able to meet this by the fourth quarter. In terms of water services, the last program, this is just to highlight which programs performed 100% space. Also, just a summary of the achievements. The one slide that we want to highlight is this one in terms of the implementation of the projects. We are currently sitting at 80 of the 87 projects that we had planned for under construction. Our completion rate is also not looking good, because we had planned to have 21 of these completed by the third quarter. In terms of budget for facility infrastructure, there were certain additional projects in the Western Cape that we accelerated starting, but in terms of the completion rate, we currently have not completed any. Water services infrastructure grant, we're currently sitting at 381 of our plan of completing constructing 400 projects by the third quarter. As in completion, we're currently sitting at 111 of the plan to have 116 by the third quarter. Interventions are still, ministerial interventions are still the 8 that were reported in the previous quarter. This is just to detail of all those areas that we did not meet, and in terms of our bucket sanitation, this actually indicates where we are in terms of the achievements, and we're highlighting the problems that we had in for the period under review. Thank you very much, DG. I would like to hand over to the CFO.
Thank you very much, and good morning to the portfolio committee, the DG and colleagues. DG, as directed, will be brief to the points as we have distributed the presentation. Chairperson, as at the end of the third quarter, the department spent a total of 18 billion, and this slide indicates the various programs where we have spent the allocations as well as the economic classification. And we were average at overall at 77.4, and there are narratives to each and every item. So we have made the projections as a department, also looking at the forecast and recovery plans, and we are confident that we should be able to fully spend the allocated budget in line with those engagements that we have had with our implementing agents as well as our contractors where we have appointed directly. The next slide summarizes the allocations infrastructure program. We have the conditional grants there indicating how much went towards direct allocations as well as indirect allocations, transfers to the water boards and also to the catchment management agencies, which are still dependent on the department. The old ones are independent, that is Breed Olifants and Inkomati. The other four are the ones which we are currently still assisting, looking forward to them being independent from the department with effect from the 26-27 financial year. But currently, we are still supporting these CMAs, and we can move to the next slide. So these are the conditional grants that we have processed to all the regions or provinces, and we have also attached a detailed schedule of municipalities as part of this presentation. So all the other remaining amounts would have been or were actually processed in the quarter four. So those were scheduled payments, and we are on track with those transfers. And then the next slide is for the same grants, but in this case, these are for water services. We do have as well for each and every municipality project list at the end of this presentation. And I can also confirm that National Treasury has provided us with the scheduled date to transfer these, and all these remaining amounts were transferred in quarter four. Then the next slide, Chairperson, these are the allocations in kind where we pay the implementing agents, be it water boards or municipalities for the work done as they present the certificates, invoices. Our provincial offices do a verification of the work, and once we are satisfied, they are then the payments are released. For the Western Cape, we've made a provision for Nasna and Kanaland at the end of quarter three, which were in quarter four, we eventually appointed Overberg Water for that project. So there will be progress reflected in quarter four in respect of the Western Cape. Then we can move to the next slide. I referred to the water boards earlier on. Mahali's water as well. This 339 million was scheduled for quarter four. And I can also confirm that after all the necessary supporting documentation and verification by our provincial office in Northwest, the 339 was duly approved to be paid in quarter four. On the water trading entity, Chairperson, which is operating on an accrual base of accounting, and the transaction here, as we have also reported previously, that they involve multiple entities. We have the TCTA as well as LHDA, which we are working with. So we do have a significant amount of advances that we also process to these institutions, and once they have complied and submitted the necessary supporting documentations, and our engineers have verified the work, we are able to do the cost allocations, which we also finalize at year end, and it's one of the areas that we are working very close with TCTA. It was also raised before by the Auditor General, the issue of Lesotho Highland Development Agency Authority, and that is where we are putting effort in terms of reconciliations and verification of the work. So at year end, we are also confident that all those expenditure items that are reflected as low now, they will be demonstrating that we have improved. So once the vouchers come from Lesotho at year end. So that is for the water trading entity. And we spoke also, DM mentioned the issue of receivables from trade and receivables. We are working with municipalities, implementing the water boards as well, to make sure that we collect as much as we can. We have also engaged with National Treasury to assist us in that regard. We can move to the next slide. The last part of the presentation relates to the financial recovery plan, which my colleague also referenced in her presentation. We are still focusing on ensuring that we improve on audit action plans for both our internal audit findings as well as the findings by the Auditor General. We constantly monitor those. We also have a functioning audit and risk management committee. And with regard to the maintenance of zero balance on overdraft, we are only having a challenge with the main account, which we have reported before to the portfolio committee that I am following up as well with National Treasury. The matter is still with Escopa. So once that is resolved, we should be able to clear this from our books. We have been working with them even in this quarter where they've been requesting for additional information. Those are my colleagues from National Treasury. And then debt collection, I spoke to that. Issues around accruals and payables, we also had a history around this challenge, and we are also making sure that we honor all those accruals and payables. We minimize disclosure of this at the end. And similarly with the issues around improper expenditure, that we deal with the issues of condonation, but also prevent recurrence of these incidents, which I will talk to in the next slides. Previously, at the last sitting, Chairperson, we were requested to talk to the compliance with the instruction note from National Treasury regarding the condonation process. We did respond as requested in writing, but we also felt that we should perhaps summarize this as we are presenting today. So this is just a summary indicating that before you consider any condonation or removal, you have to comply fully with the processes that Treasury has outlined, which involves the determination test. And in the Chairperson, we have also listed all those informations that Treasury would require that we have to adhere to before there can be any condonation or any removal. So those includes loss control function having done the investigations, no loss was incurred, disciplinary action, and also confirmation that the accounting officer has put in measures to ensure that there is no recurrence of those incidents. So we comply with all these requirements, and I will swiftly move to the next slides. So this is a summary of the unauthorized expenditure, fruitless and wasteful expenditure, as well as irregular expenditure. I referenced the unauthorized expenditure when I was talking to the issues around bank overdraft. Those who are waiting for the parliamentary processes. And with regard to fruitless and wasteful expenditure on the water trading entity, we are having those historic cases, which also involved 14 million historically, which were advised through the investigation to have recoveries there. And our legal office has already engaged with the state attorney to issue out summons. There's an error. The apologies issued to the former employees. And then with regard to the irregular expenditure, the cases that are remaining are reflected on the next slide. So we can move to those cases. so that we remain within the allocated time. So these are the cases, Chairperson, that are still in our irregular expenditure register, which indicates that they are before the courts, and we also submitted some to National Treasury. Those are the ones within the delegation authority of National Treasury, and this is for the main account. Similarly, on the water trading entity, these are the cases that are still remaining. The other cases, for example, on SEP, those ones were condemned, removed. We did apply to National Treasury before. However, they advised that we needed to fulfill some of the queries that they have raised. We have since done that. We are also recovering those funds through the SIU for SEP, and we have then accordingly cleared our books with those. So meaning that all those requirements have been complied with, and we have submitted the same to our auditors. The other matters are still awaiting finalization of those disciplinary actions. The remainder of the slides, Chairperson, from slide number 55 down to 56 as well, provides summary of each and every case of where it is, as we were previously requested by the committee to do so, similarly to the main account. And we are going to the water trading entity. On slide number 57, we have the water trading entity indicating where each matter is, and it continues through to slide number 58. Then to close, we can proceed to slide number 59. This is where we are checking that we are moving in the direction that we have committed, that we want to bring this irregular expenditures to zero. The only case that is remaining is the one that we have reported historically on the Glen William, which we have existing orders that we are currently honoring. However, we have started with disciplinary action as a department, and once labor relations is done, we will be proceeding to National Treasury to have this matter considered for condonement. So the same applies to fruitless and wasteful expenditure. And then on the next slide is just a summary of all those measures that we have put in place and controls that we continue to enforce to ensure that we do not have recurrence of those incidents, and also to indicate where we have made recoveries directly as a department, but the significant ones are the ones that we have made through the SIU, where we have recovered from EOH and SEP. Our books now have recorded 506 million of those recoveries. So in brief, Chairperson, this is the summary of the two presentations that I have to talk to. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Minister, would you like to conclude before we go into questions?
Chairperson, I think we can take the questions. We have circulated the presentation, and the DG and the team have led it well. We are ready to engage with the leadership of our portfolio committee. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Honourable members, I also have received an apology from Honourable Ramaila, just for records to say that he will also not attend today's meeting. We go into questions. Honourable Reddy, you are welcome to start the questioning.
Thank you so much, Chairperson. Please, Secretariat, I'm not sure if you've mentioned this, but Honourable Matutu is also unwell. He did send an apology. If we could have that recorded.
Thank you. We'll do that. It's no problem.
Thank you. Chairperson, Deputy Minister, the DG, officials from the department, and honourable colleagues, thank you very much for that presentation. But I just want to focus on one thing here, and that is the municipalities. Now, we are constantly told that municipalities are failing due to lack of capacity. Yet, in the report, we see that billions are being transferred to these same municipalities through RBIG and WISIC grants. So, which is it, Chairperson? Are municipalities incapable, or are we deliberately funding failure? because you cannot say a municipality has no engineers, no governance, no systems, that there's corruption that's rife in the municipalities, highly politicized, etc., and we still expect them to deliver on complex infrastructure projects. Chair, we must also confront the financial reality. Let's look at the reality here. Municipal debt is continuing to grow. But what we must never do is ignore the economic conditions. You know, unemployment is at an unprecedented rate. The economy is at its worst. Revenue collection is collapsing. This is throughout the country. You cannot squeeze money from communities that simply do not have it. But at the same time, we cannot allow the entire system to collapse. So, Chair, the solution must be practical. Let us ring fence water revenue. It must not be diverted. You know, funds that's collected from water is paying salaries. It's doing all manner of things in municipalities currently. In failing municipalities, why can't water boards collect directly from large users and ensure that they get the water? Because business, industries, and state institutions are suffering at the moment also because of poor governance and governance failures at municipal level. Conditional debt relief must be linked to performance, and we cannot accept blanket write-offs. But most importantly, there must be a shift away from incapable municipalities to entities with capacity. And this may be water boards in our case. Chair, there's also a fundamental governance gap. We are repeatedly told that this is a municipal problem. If that is the case, then I'm asking again, I've asked this several times before, where is COCTA? Deputy Minister will tell you, I've served in local government for about 30 years. I was in the Department of COCTA, I was on a water board, and not once have I seen a joint strategy plan between COCTA and the Department of Water. Where is this joint national intervention? Where is the coordinated strategy between DWS, COCTA, and Treasury? Because right now, what we see is fragmentation. And Chair, fragmentation is what is killing service delivery. So, Deputy Minister, my question to you is, what formal, coordinated national strategy exists between your department and COCTA to intervene in failing municipalities? And when will this committee be presented with a unified joint recovery plan? I'm also interested to know how many RBIG and WISIC projects have failed or been delayed due to lack of municipal capacity, and what consequence management has been implemented against those responsible. And finally, Deputy Minister, given the ongoing financial collapse of municipalities, has the department considered removing implementation authority and transferring it to capable entities like water boards? And if not, why not? Thank you very much, Chairperson. I'll listen in to the responses. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Deputy Minister?
Chairperson, thank you so much. The matters that are raised by Honorable Reddy, we should appreciate, Chairperson, that they are deep-rooted. They are very systematic. One of the biggest issues we know, maybe we can start with the last one, of removing the function. Removing the function, Honorable Reddy, is not an easy thing. Remember on how our constitution has been anchored. When it comes to water and electricity, especially water, in terms of the schedules, it's a clear function that is being given to municipalities. In other words, you, at a particular point, you need to have a discussion, Honorable Chairperson, whether is it possible when they can't perform this function, we can take off? Because it is locked there in the Constitution. Initially, some of the members of the portfolio committee, they had strong views that we should be able to take over. There is a limitation Honorable Reid, the current process is the law says of Section 154 to support, then go to intervention 139, and then 139 then creates a condition for us to bring along Section 63. It's been a very, very cumbersome process. And those intervention in terms of 139, sometimes they are very short. In terms of time frame, they are short, and they cause problem. But where we are now, the president has convened a meeting of the National Water Committee, the Minister of COGTAM, the Minister of Finance, National Treasury, Public Works and Infrastructure, Minister of Environment, very important because of issues of pollution to water, the issues of authorization, and then the Minister of Police because of issues of corruption, vandalism. We are working together, and even to this afternoon, the meeting is going to convene again, so that we have reached a stage, Honorable Reid, that if a municipality fails, we are not going to wait and allow the right of citizens to be violated, Chairperson. We are going to go in, but it will be in a legal way. But we have reached a stage, Chairperson, we are going to intervene. The numbers, they don't look good. When you have 105 municipalities struggling, like you know, Chair, and we cannot say it's their responsibility in law. That is our attitude, Honorable Reid. But then there's a possibility of other people challenging us, Chairperson, to say we're there to take over, what. And it's a bridge that we're going to cross. Honorable Reid, when it comes to the department, the performance around the issues of our grants, there's been a marked improvement over the last 2 years, Chairperson. One of the things that we did was to unblock this project. If you look at the report, there are many of them that we've unblocked. The introductory report, the Honorable Reid, at least the unblocking where these people were struggling. Even now, we're in Machabeng ourselves. Very, very good progress in Mpumalanga, in the Eastern Cape and elsewhere. A number of these projects, including in Limpopo, they are being unblocked. But as a department, we're very strict, Honorable Reid. I don't want to lie. Nobody is allowed to become an implementing agent, Chairperson, without us looking at the capacity. And we are very, very clear to say who implements the projects. But in instances where municipalities, Honorable Reid, are failing, the department will have taken a decision. Other than these other grants, you know, I'm not going to mention the other grants, Chairperson. In our case, we are not returning money from the grants back to national fiscus. Treasury has been very supportive. They've allowed to convert direct grants into indirect grants, wherein we use our water boards, we use other district and other state entities, Honorable Reid, to do well. The issues that we are raising of the escalating debt, we are absolutely correct, Honorable Reid. You know now, these are some of the issues that, Honorable Chairperson, there are people who are leaders there who have just made a decision not to do the right things. Chairperson, we don't need to actually even legislate that money must be ring-fenced. It's just a leadership decision. Why will the mayor and his or her council don't understand that the biggest contributor to income of municipality is water, is electricity and refuse removal? Even if you manage your spaza shop, the spaza shop are a serious business. You know that which items are giving you more returns. They don't do it. But we are being forced, the Chairperson, now to regulate these issues. When we do the review of the commitments they've made, we're not very pleased as a Department of Water and Sanitation. And we've spoken to the Minister of Finance to say, we want a directive to be given because these guys, they've actually acted. If they were directors of companies, Honorable Reid, would have called this thing is a dereliction of duty. We can even call it this thing is an issue of reckless trading. We're not saying that they must take everything 100% from water sales, Honorable Rate, back to water. But the biggest portion must go there. And this is one of the issues that will have a very difficult and a painful discussion. And we are even raising it, even at the level of the discussion with the president. And the issue of water boards collecting from the big users. Look at the idea that we've introduced Mfuleni of bringing in rainwater. Rainwater will be from the source to the bulk to the treatment, distribution, and until collection, it will work. And this is one of the issues that even if you introduce an SPV, whether a concession, where you come from a KZN, Honorable Reid, you see the scissor water there. Is one of the best examples at Ilembe around Palito, the era of concession. They collect themselves. They're able to ensure good quality service delivery. In Nelspruit, we know in areas of operation of Silulumans, that's what they do. But the issues of local business enterprises, trading entities, we agree with you. I think at a particular point on the issue of COGTA and the joint strategy, at a particular point, it would be nice, Chairperson, to have a joint session between the Minister of COGTA, the Portfolio Committee, and ourselves. Remember, President has said let's fix local government. They are part of the review. We know the review and strengthening of local government, they are busy with the white paper. We work so closely together, very, very closely together, Honorable Reddy, but probably because we appear our alone here, we might not have an ability to see from all ends, but we are working so well. Even now, we're engaging business and every people around the two, because what we do in water, as we don't reform local government, Honorable Reid, it will not be adequate. We are dependent on them. National Treasury has been very supporting working with our DG. You know the Metro Trading Services, including the incentive that is being put in there, the 54 billion that is referred to. We are working, all of us, Treasury, COGTA, Department of Energy and Electricity, and our ministry. Our DGs are trying to fix these systematic issues. And I thought I should be able to respond in that particular way, but your points are absolutely correct. But the biggest issue we must deal with is the quality of leaders. Some of them have chosen to do nothing about some of the problems that we refer to. I'm not sure, Chairperson, if there's a one or two matter I've left behind. Our DG, Dr. Phillips, can help me. Thank you. You know, I'm calling a friend to help me, Chair.
You're welcome. DG, would you like to add?
Yes, thank you, Chairperson. Just, I think DM Mapopo has covered most of the aspects of Honourable Reddy's questions, but just to add a couple of things, to elaborate a little bit about what DM said about it being quite complex, this issue of potentially taking functions away from municipalities. The Constitution has various clauses in it which create a balance and all the different clauses have to be read in conjunction with each other. So while there are clauses like 154 and 139, which says that national government must support municipalities and can intervene in municipalities, there are also other clauses. For example, 41(1) E to G states that the different spheres of government must respect the functions of other spheres and must not assume any functions or powers not conferred on them by the Constitution, and must not encroach upon the functional integrity of other spheres. And then in addition to that, there are clauses which say that the section 1513 states that the municipality has the right to govern on its own initiative the local government affairs of its community, subject to the national and provincial legislation. So there are also limitations in the Constitution with regard to the ability of the national government to either to use the word from the Constitution, interfere with or to try and assume the responsibilities that are particularly in Part B of Schedule 4 of the Constitution, which are as the Constitution says, with regard to those responsibilities, municipalities must be given those powers to run those functions. We are currently working with the presidency on looking at these legal issues. It should also be borne in mind that if you look at the jurisprudence, some of the legal advice that we've gotten so far is that the Constitutional Court has tended to rule in favor of municipalities regarding these issues and in affirming these clauses that I've mentioned, which indicate that the different spheres of government must respect each other and not intervene in other spheres and not intervene in the management of their affairs. So we do need to look at this very carefully legally. It's quite complex, and as I indicated, we are currently working with the presidency on getting more legal opinions on these issues. And then finally, just to add, Chairperson, that the Honourable Reddy did say, when is the coordinated plan going to be released? As the Deputy Minister indicated, the President did announce that the National Water Crisis Committee is being established. There was a meeting of it last week, and there's another meeting this afternoon of it. And as the Presidency has indicated, there will be a National Water Action Plan which will be released by the National Water Crisis Committee, which will do what Honourable Reddy is asking in providing a coordinated multi-departmental strategy to address the water crisis. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. Honourable Reddy, that was the responses. You satisfied?
Thank you very much, Chairperson. Look, in the main, I want to welcome the responses, but I think for some reason I'm being misunderstood here. I believe that all local government, provincial government, national government are different spheres of government, and we need to respect that. But I think ultimately we also have a responsibility to citizens out there to ensure that they're getting a service. Because to an ordinary South African, he doesn't see different departments. He sees no water, he looks at what we call water and sanitation, and he looks at us being responsible. Now, within the framework of existing law and legislation, and using IGR principles, intergovernmental relations principles, I believe we can approach this and we can address this situation. It has to take a whole president to come and tell us something that we've been talking about for a very long time in this committee. There must be a joint approach, which must include COCTA, include Treasury, include all the other stakeholders. Now, initially when I suggested that we should be intervening using Section 3 of the Water Services Act, some members in this committee told me, and quite rightly so, it cannot be done without a Section 139 intervention. And Section 139 can only be activated through COCTA. So if that is the case, why are we not working with COCTA and coming up with a joint plan on addressing those failing municipalities? Let me be honest with you, and I want to be very frank here. Water department and the billions being channeled into water departments across this country through municipalities has become a feeding trough for corrupt enterprises. That's what it has become. And this includes councillors, includes other politicians and business and water mafia. Now, they're not going to let go of this. They're going to defend this at all costs. It's our responsibility to ensure that those municipalities are forced to act in the interest of the residents and to ensure that people can get water. And I believe that we need to look at this differently. I appreciate the fact that there's now going to be a National Water Crisis Committee that's going to be established. Let's hope it doesn't become another talk shop where we end up talking about this next year, about the establishment of this committee. There has to be someone that's going to drive this. And ideally, it should be this department. This department should be driving this intergovernmental approach to finding these solutions. But in the main, I thank the DG, I thank the Deputy Minister. I think with the input you've made, and if you can implement some of the suggestions that we're talking about, I think we can go somewhere in addressing the water crisis in this country. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you, Honourable Reddy. Honourable Moore.
Thank you, Chairperson. Let me start with just sharing my condolences for the Minister and her loss. And then good morning to yourself, to the Deputy Minister, the DG, my colleagues, and everyone on the call. Chair, I'm not going to go into my usual, I'm just going to state that obviously, as I've said in many meetings, I do not like the format of the quarterly reports. I know we've discussed this at length. I'm not going to go into it again, but just for the record that it's on here again. If someone is interested, they can go find the previous comments. First, just a moment, the question of clarity, Chairperson, with regards to the 27 billion rand owed by municipalities to water board debt, this is being presented as a negative, a worsening of the situation. Last year, it was 28 billion rand that we were presented with. If I can get an explanation on how a movement from 28 to 27 is negative, or what's happening with regards to that number. Maybe there's something else going on that I don't understand. I would also like to echo.
Maybe they've written it off, Honourable Member.
I know, I just like the explanation, Chair. I'd like the explanation. And then the second question is more to agree with, and it's shocking to say it, but agree with the Honourable Reddy. We've been talking about a joint session with COGTA since the term began. And I think especially a lot of our actions, a lot of our problems are long-term, trying to fix problems of the past, or else rely on dependencies with regards to COGTA focuses, whether it's municipalities themselves or else grants provided to municipalities where we seem to not do full oversight on. And I think it would be of benefit, especially with the white paper on the changes happening to local government, to have at least a presentation from COGTA to the Water and Sanitation Committee with regards to what specific interventions are happening that may affect us, or else, or even better, a joint committee meeting to discuss this matter, because it has been on the cards for a significant period. And Chair, I'm not going to go into other things. There's a couple of the projects. I would like to say I'm glad that we received the mega projects list along with the presentation. That's obviously a step in the right direction. Obviously, there are some other mega projects that aren't shared on the mega projects list, which is concerning. But I'm glad to see us moving in towards the granular information that we need in order to, on a regular basis, monitor projects on behalf of the South African public. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honourable Member. Your second question was the 900th question that was asked in this meetings. So just take note of it. We're moving now to the 1000th question. Deputy Minister?
No, thanks, Chair. Thanks to Honourable Moore. I know he's hardworking, he's on the ground, and probably off-site will discuss what additional information we can put there as part of the briefing notes. But let's allow the DG to respond on the financial one, the debt.
Thank you very much, Chair. I don't know the answer offhand. It could be due to various things, but I can answer in principle, Honourable Moore, and that is that in principle, the debt is increasing because the debt includes interest on the old debt. So it is going to increase until the debt write-off mechanism on the old debt can be start kicking in, which can only happen once the municipalities which have not been paying start paying their current invoices in full. It could be, for example, some of our figures in the past have not been consistent in terms of differentiating between debt which is less than 30 days old and debt which is older than 30 days old. In terms of the PFMA and MFMA, invoices are supposed to be paid within 30 days. So technically speaking, an invoice which is less than 30 days old isn't really debt yet. It's still a current invoice. And it may be that there was a change in taking out the debt older, the debt younger than 30 days. I don't know if the CFO, Frans, if you've had a chance to check quickly. Otherwise, if we're not able to clarify that now, Chairperson, we can look into it in detail and give a written response to Honourable Moore to explain it. Frans?
Yes, thank you. DG, you are correct with the principles there. I've also looked at the ledger account that you are having. You do have receipts, but you also have new billings that we have issued during the financial year. So those are the elements of the movement. So you do have those. So we can still provide the detail as well, but you are correct. Those are the factors that contribute to the balances. So we have billings and recoveries, adjustments as well during the financial year. All those details are available. Thanks.
Chairperson, let's allow that the team will give the detail.
Yeah.
But you are absolutely correct, Chairperson. There has been an implementation of a cancellation of some of those debt impairments. We're also looking at the issue of supporting around the same regime like ESCOM of a debt relief. And but equally, Honorable Moore, the figure might look like it's coming down. Our usual culprits, the numbers are going up, Honorable Moore. It's not looking good. It's not looking good. And a billion rand might look significant. It's not significant at all. But the team will do the breakdown. The issue that you have assisted us with, National Treasurer, when you call us with the DM Sarupian here, we must keep those commitments, Honorable Chairperson, and the support we get from you. The issue of the equitable share will remain. But I can tell you, Honorable Members, we need to do more. We need to do more because even if we push them to have a settlement plans, we still have to deal with the question of how to get reliability of water supply. Because if the water supply is reliable, many people are going to pay, and the billing system are okay. That's why when we came in with Rainwater on the other side, we knew Mfuleni, there is no way that they can always meet this payment plan until we improve the performance of the system. And that performance of the system can guarantee there has to be enforcement of the user pay principle, but then there's also the issues of the improvement on service delivery. The more service delivery improves, and the likelihood that it will be able to meet their obligation is our approach. Thank you so much, Chair.
Thank you very much for that, Minister. Maybe I must also just say that the question of meeting with COCTA has been long overdue. I received also a letter from the Chair of Chairs, Honourable Frolick, that we've got to prioritize the bills. And we are having a problem with the oversight to the Eastern Cape in the sense that there are parliamentary sittings in between that will only mean that there's one day or that we can go on oversight. So I have requested Nosipho just to put that on hold so that we could get a new program and also look at the legislation, but also then try and include a meeting with COCTA in person here in Parliament to the end of April. But we will give a schedule to the committee as soon as we finalize that, and we have a meeting with the Chair of Chairs, all the chairpersons tomorrow. And after that, we will have to take a decision that we'll bring to this committee. Honourable Moore, that was the responses. Are you satisfied?
Thank you, Chair. Just to say, obviously, headline of worsening when the number goes from 28 to 27. I just think we need that explanation, so I'll appreciate the report, and I don't think it should just come to me. I think in general the committee could use that information just so they can explain. Otherwise we're going to get AI written speeches about the improvements, and as the DM says, we need to be cautious. And Chair, then I only asked two questions, so I'm just going to sneak one in, which is to ask whether we can get confirmation, because this is our last session for a while, for a month at least, I think, on the blue, green and no drop reports. The minister made the statement in Parliament that they were going to be coming out either at the end of this month or next month. And I just wanted to confirm whether that is still true for all the reports, or if it's a different release schedule, or whatever the case is, because obviously we've been waiting for these for a while, and for the minister to confirm that they're coming out within the next month or so is very exciting for me. Thank you.
Thank you. It seems the member has learned from Honourable Kobe to sneak in questions like this. I will allow that. Honourable Deputy Minister, would you like to respond to that, or the
No,
department?
we do have a date of releasing the reports on the 30th of this month, but we're going to double check whether we're still proceeding with the day, Chair, because of the issue of the bereavement. But as part of concluding this water month, it is our intention to tell the country where do we look like in terms of these reports. But not all the reports are going to be released. The DG or Mr. Zwane, the DG, can just indicate which one, because it's a scheduled way of releasing it, because it's very intense. But I know that the green report will be one of those, but they can confirm which other one. But the 30th is a date that there is our intention, but we just have to double check now whether our minister will still be able to do that after she concludes the issues of the bereavement. Thank you.
DG?
Yes, thank you. As we've indicated consistently, because the blue, green and no drop reports are such expensive and very detailed assessments of every single water supply distribution and drinking water supply system in every single municipality, and similarly for wastewater systems, it would be too expensive and too onerous to do full blue and green drops in every cycle. So we run them in cycles where we do a full green drop and then a green drop progress report and then a full green drop again, and the same with blue drop and no drop. So what we're going to be releasing at the end of this month is the full green drop report and the blue drop progress report and the no drop progress report. The progress reports are not as comprehensive in terms of their assessments of the municipal systems as the full report. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honourable Moore. You satisfied with the
Satisfied,
response?
Chair? Thank you. Satisfied.
Thank you very much. Honourable Dikebe?
Good morning, Chairperson, to you, the Deputy Minister, honorable members, the DG and all the executives. Let me also join in expressing our condolences to the Minister. She informed us when we were in Machabeng over the weekend about that. Indeed, you have represented us by indicating that such a message of condolences must be sent to the Minister. Chairperson, just a few questions that I have. On slide 86 of the presentation, there is reference to a number of municipalities in the Free State, I think Mafube being one of them. After I asked the question in the House to the Minister about delays in respect of the bucket eradication program, in Getwana in particular, which is in Thabo Mofutsanyana, one of the members who happens to be resident in the Mafube municipality asked me about Frankfurt, Villiers, Cornelia, etc., and that is within the Mafube municipality. Now, I'd like to know whether the projects that I mentioned in respect of Mafube relate also to the bucket eradication program, and if so, when will that project be completed? If not, when will it start, if at all? That's the first part. The second part, Chairperson, relates to the unauthorized, irregular, and fruitless expenditure. A great deal of that we know. We've dealt with this matter before. these issues go as far back as 2016, 2017, etc. I'd like to know, if you look at the 349 million rand of the so-called war on leaks, I know that this is a matter that the SIU is seized with, but that and many other matters, when does the department expect that this will be finalized? I know that it is not entirely dependent on the timeline that the department would have set itself, to the extent that it involves other third parties, etc., notably the SIU and possibly the NPA. But there are those matters that pertain to the department. And of course, this is also in a relative sense, and I'm talking here about disciplinary matters. If they drag on for too long, it becomes problematic. We are heartened by the fact that some of the matters have already been concluded. But is there a timeline? And I know that it may not be carved in granite, but when does the department envisage that all matters arising from the UI, F and W will be resolved, both in terms of disciplinary matters, civil and criminal litigation? So the other part, Chairperson, relates to the BFI. In our report, oversight report to the Free State and Northern Cape, in the recommendations, we specifically singled out Mangaung and said that the National Treasury should support that municipality on account of the progress that we witnessed that the municipality there over there, the only metro is making. But we extended that to many other municipalities, which then leads me to this point. I know when the minister tabled the budget some 2-3 weeks ago, he said that the vista for BFIs was effectively open from that day. And I know that the DBSA is very useful when it comes to assisting municipalities that may otherwise not have the requisite skill to complete the forms, etc. But if you look at a municipality like Maluti Apofung in Thabo Mofutsanyana, it's one municipality that requires that. One is very much cognizant of the RBIC and WISIC interventions from the side of the department, but I think from the side of the infrastructure South Africa, we also need that kind of intervention. So effectively, I'm saying this needs to be a proactive step on the part of the department working with the municipality. And I think colleagues have already referenced the joint program between us and COCTA. So that is what we've got to do. Lastly, Chairperson, the Deputy Minister, and I omitted to greet the Deputy Minister who is standing in for the Minister. Profuse apologies and good morning to you, Deputy Minister. The Deputy Minister informed us that the service level agreement in respect of Machabeng has since been signed. You will remember that we said that as and when that particular agreement is signed, the actual text must be brought to us so that we can cite its actual content. Now, I'd like to know whether that particular SLA, he said that it's been signed. Has it been signed, I ask? And if so, is it without caveats? Is it unconditional? How much is being paid? We know that the telemetered volume of water that the Val Central supplies to Machabeng is 70 million rand per month. They were prepared to pay only 12 million. How much more are they prepared to pay this time around? And can we have a text of that particular SLA? This question obviously is to the political principal, the Deputy Minister, and obviously the DG will have to execute that. Lastly, Chairperson, while we were there, we also noted quite some considerable progress with regards to the pump stations within the municipality. The minister and deputy minister, two deputy ministers, inaugurated about 22 of them. However, in some areas, we still have some challenges with regards to funding. Notably, in Ordinal Stress, we've got 2 very modern, well-secure pump stations. However, the main wastewater treatment works to function, which requires chairperson that which requires chairperson that there should be clarity with regards to whether that particular 3 megaliter wastewater treatment works will eventually be funded, and the implication, chairperson, of it not being funded in the most immediate period is that all of the water, the wastewater treatment, I mean the effluent that's generated from within the town of Machabeng, which is Ordinal Stress, ultimately discharges into Sandspruit and then finds its way into integrated Vaal River system. And as we know, we receive clean raw water from Lesotho, and it gets contaminated in the process. So, of course, Machabeng is not the only polluter, but I think that has quite an adverse effect. And the last one is Allen Ridge, which is on your way to Botterville. It's still within Machabeng, but as part of what one of the senior officials refer to as designated drainage systems, I have not heard anything mentioned with regards to the allocated funds. There may very well be designs, etc., but that is one area that I've visited, and I think people's lives there are a horror story. You know, virtually, literally every day, whatever amount of wastewater that goes through the system discharges into the environment. And I would like to have some clarity on that, chairperson. In particular, this one of energizing the plants. I want to talk about the amounts that the municipality said it had paid. 700,000 it said in respect of Kupranong, which is one of the plants that the department, and well done to the department for being patient and seeing that through. It's almost 100% complete. But then we would like to know whether in the grand scheme of things, when will the Tabong plant be effectively energized? There's a 12 MVA generator there, but it's not sustainable because it uses 1,200 liters of diesel per month. And with the situation in the Middle East unfolding, that is not sustainable. Or even in the absence of such an adverse situation of conflict in the Middle East, it's still not sustainable. When are we going to get that done? Thank you very much, Chairperson.
Thank you. Deputy Minister?
No, thank you so much, Honorable Chairperson, and thanks to Honorable Diteve, and thanks that he was able to join us on the weekend with Honorable Member of Parliament, Olga, and also the Deputy Minister of Presidency. Chairperson, for the record, Honorable Diteve, I never said this thing has been signed. It has been concluded. Honorable Khalifa today will be sending to, by this morning at 8 o'clock, he should have said it yesterday at the meeting with them and the Vaal Central. They've agreed they are going to pay 30 million, Chairperson. And there's going to be a review within 3 months. The first payment, Honorable Diteve, to us of 30 million should be at the end of this month, which is the end of the week. And that Machabeng, Chairperson, there's been progress with respect of intergovernmental relations, not working well together. But our ministry's issue was the SLA, because it is not safe for the Vaal Central to work without an SLA, Chairperson. It has gone to their council. The council has concluded it. Then there's a payment plan, and all those that will be now looked at by the leadership of Vaal Central. But as a leadership, we've all agreed that this is the beginning. Machabeng needs to be, is still in the ICU, Honorable Diteve. It still requires a lot of attention. it can lapse. Remember the good progress we've made now on the wastewater treatment work in Tabung and all these pump stations that we opened with you. One of the things you could see on the street, the water is still gushing, the pipes are leaking, sewer is still there, because that's what we need to report, that even if there's progress, but there's still a lot of damage on the ground. Our team, very shortly, with the DG, they will look at the issue of the funding, because the Val Central has demonstrated that they are ready for the other packages. Remember, we're dealing with, what do we call it, 40 pump stations. We've done already 18 of them. Then we should be able to look at Kutwanong. We are absolutely correct. I went to Odenstar Ras. It's also need to be looked at. It's an important one that they need to look at. And the DG and the CFO and the provincial head, they will look on how they look at the allocation so that at least there is completeness. The risk around power generation is a major issue. And we got the report. We still have to engage the two ministers of energy and electricity and ourselves and see how they can help them. The risk you are pointing out is an inherent risk. You can't use so much diesel. It's too much, 1,200 liters. And looking at the escalation of the price that is coming in on the first week of April and the issue of security there, that's what we need to do. But on our side, our intention is that the technical team's chairperson, they still have to produce a service delivery improvement plan for water and electricity. That service delivery improvement plan must be submitted to council, provincial government. It must be submitted to us. It must be submitted to you as a portfolio committee, including the NCOP. Honorable Titewe, that service delivery plan, improvement plan, must also be sent to the court. Remember, there's a court decision here. And we can't be in contempt of court when it comes to the issue of delivery on these particular issues. And then I'll ask the DG and the team to handle the issues of bucket eradication, whether the project includes Mafube and the other matters, including to add the DG and your Dr. Ndili if he's here on the other issues of Machabing. But once again, we appreciate the oversight and support that were given by members individually and collective.
Thank you, DG.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. We'll provide answers to the best of our ability, Chair, on a couple of the questions where we don't provide answers. I'd again like us to be given the opportunity to provide written responses. We might not have all the detail at hand. On the issue of the war on leaks, the investigation has been done by the SIU, so we can't provide timeframes for that. It's not in our hands. And the SIU also doesn't provide timeframes for its investigations. We're giving full collaboration to the SIU and giving them all the information as and when they request it. We're also anxious to see the investigation finalized. Perhaps what's important also to mention is that the War on Leaks program we're not still implementing. It was stopped quite some time ago. There isn't any risk of ongoing expenditure on it while the investigation is being finalized. On the issue of the BFI, and particularly with relation to Mangaung, the way that the BFI works is that the municipalities have to submit business cases to National Treasury. National Treasury doesn't make allocations from the BFI on an equitable basis or formula basis to so much to this province, so much to that province, and municipalities within the province. It's on a first apply, first come, first serve basis. Those municipalities which make good quality applications to the BFI get them approved and get the funding. That's the only criterion. We have told all of our regional officers and the municipalities that we are available to support the municipalities to develop good business cases to go to the BFI. We have a very strong relationship with the Infrastructure Fund, which is an institution under National Treasury, which has very good capacity and ability to develop business cases for BFI funding, because they have people with skills in financial structuring, because the BFI gives preference to projects which involve blended finance. In other words, projects where the National Treasury contribution will result in leveraging in private sector finance. They usually only approve those kind of projects and don't often give projects which are 100%, give money to projects which are just going to be 100% funded from the government. So we and the Infrastructure Fund are available to support municipalities to develop a good quality business plan for a blended finance project to go to the BFI. But it has to be submitted by the municipality, and the municipality has to play a leading role. I don't know if Dr. Ntili is in the meeting yet, but he can also add some detail as to whether there's any indication from Mangaung that they are intending to apply to the BFI, or whether they've asked us for support in that regard. In the meantime, I would like to ask our Chief Director for Sanitation, Andre, to answer the question about the bucket toilet program. Andre?
Before that, Comrade DG, just speak to Mangaung. Mangaung is part of all those that have submitted on the Metro Trading Service. Just a little bit, a minute or two before Andre. I know because I sit with Minister Kotoman and DMC and the other DMs. They will be the beneficiary.
Yes, so what the DM is talking about is the reform of Metropolitan Trading Services Program, which is separate to the BFI in National Treasury. They've put in place a new grant called the Trading Services Grant, to which all the metropolitan municipalities can apply for funding for infrastructure as well, but it's a performance-based grant. And the metropolitan municipalities need to have a council-approved turnaround strategy for water and sanitation in place, and they need to have made progress in terms of certain key performance indicators, including, Honourable Reddy, the issue that you raised earlier about ring fencing of revenue. That's one of the things that the metropolitan municipalities have to do to get access to this trading services grant. Mangaung municipality should be able to access that money, which is quite substantial, but it needs to make progress in terms of the reforms like ring fencing of revenue. Andre?
Thank you very much, and good morning, Chair and honourable members, and all protocol observed. Yes, DG and Chair, on slide 86, the Senegal project, as you see it on the slide, yes, does include a BEP project. Perhaps just a correction is that the description WWTW, the wastewater treatment works, is an incorrect description there, but it is the Senegal Internal Services. For this project, we have appointed the municipality to just conclude a very small portion of the Senegal town to provide them with water and sewer, and they are the implementing agent on behalf of the department to complete this project. Unfortunately, they had to terminate the services of this contractor, and they will soon be going out on tender to complete the remaining scope of the project. It is quite advanced, but they will go out on tender and appoint a new contractor to complete this particular project. But yes, it does relate to the BEP program and projects. The second comment around Mafube, whether it's included in the BEP project, no, it is not. We don't have an active project or part of the current projects that we've identified that are forming part of the BEP program in the Mafube municipality. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Chair. I see Dr. Ntili, our regional head for the Free State, is in the meeting. Dr. Ntili, I'm not sure if you heard Honourable Ditebi's questions about a couple of other projects and towns in the Free State. Dr. Ntili?
DG, I just entered now to I'm in Machabeng, but I didn't hear the questions and the comments. I'm sorry. I just entered now.
Okay, Chairperson, can I request that we make written responses to those questions, please?
Yes, that will be fine if it's in order with the honourable member. Honourable member, can we get a written response on that? Are you satisfied?
That's okay, Chairperson, except for just one thing. If there exists a need in the Mafube municipality in the same way, in the same manner as in Getwana, for example, with regards to the BEP, even if there is no active project, could that be established? Because even if there's no project enrolled, but there's a need for such, could we be informed so that that forms part of the responses in a written form? With regards to the BFI, I didn't ask specifically about Mangaung. I may have just used it as an example. My focus was on Maluti Apofung, which is in Thabo Mofutshanyana. Mangaung is a metro. Perhaps while at it, we can just establish whether the one of Mangaung, which I know about, it's about 3.2 billion rand. The 79,000 units of either pit latrines or bucket system that's used. Has that one been finalized? Because the DM, I think, would be more familiar with that with the DG. That is the Mangaung one, although I didn't ask about that one, but I was just awaiting progress on that particular one because I did indeed ask a question in the past. But thanks to the DM, with regards to this one of energy, this gets complicated, Chairperson, because Eskom, as you know, has identified quite a few municipalities around the country, and the Free State is affected in terms of the distribution agency agreement. And I'm told that the terms and conditions of compliance there are pretty much strict. And in other words, on the one hand, the municipality owes Eskom north of 5 billion rand and Val Central north of 9 billion rand. So, and I know that the municipality's budget is unfunded, and there are quite a number of leaks that still need to be dealt with. Just in conclusion, to agree with the colleagues, while indeed we should be working closely with COCTA in respect of Machabeng, as the Deputy Minister has said, we have a court-directed intervention of Section 139, subsection 5A and C, which is as the Deputy Minister has correctly stated, such progress must be filed with the registrar of the court from time to time. So which then logically means that as we met with the municipality on the 27th of January this year, we must equally bring on board the EXCO rep, who in terms of the National Treasury processes, municipal finance recovery, financial recovery services, executes or directs the financial recovery plan. And Chairperson, from my knowledge of the situation there, if we can get rid of major leaks in the system, we'll be able to find some money, for Eskom, for Val Central. Because if I'm not wrong, Val Central owes the department something in the region of 7 billion rand in terms of raw water. If that is incorrect, the correct figure can be supplied, which means with Val Central supplying Machabeng with 40% of its treated water and 50% to Mangaung, Machabeng can effectively bring down if it doesn't comply. Remember, even with the 30 million rand, it still is 40 million rand short in terms of what it's supposed to pay Val Central. We must guard these utilities, and I agree with the Deputy Minister. We must protect these utilities, and it cannot simply be on the basis of a very passionate appeal that they must be protected, etc. We must raise our hands and show in action, both in the legislature and in the executive, that we support these and not allow anybody to destroy their liquidity position or their going concern status. So we will still have a challenge there, but there are many leaks in the system, which I can tell you, arising from the 14 questions that we asked the municipality to respond to. In fact, it raised more questions than answers. This whole thing must be looked at in its entirety. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Can I get a response on the BFI?
On the BFI, Chairperson, will indicate those that were assisting. Remember, the window periods are 4 now. But we must indicate that not everybody, Chairperson, is going to qualify for BFI. The BFI, you'll need to be able to ensure that you then have the issues of the co-funding. I know some of the municipalities in Free State and elsewhere that have made application, they've been declined because they don't meet all these requirements. Because there must be the issues of the financial viability for it. That particular test is not being met. And but we are looking at other mechanisms on how to support and bring other people at risk to handle these particular issues. I even know that the matter of the Metro Trading Services Chairperson, the premiers have raised formally to say it must not only be limited to the metros. We are looking at the possibility of expansion to look at strategic towns, especially where there are capitals of those particular provinces. The matters of Machabeng, Chairperson, deep-rooted, but where we are, there is a progress being made. They are not out of the woods. For us to be able to ensure that anybody, Chairperson, who signs a payment plan or debt plan that they sign into, the likelihood for default is very, very high. Therefore, the idea to say, while we are enforcing the issues of credit control, the idea to look at improving service delivery and reliability, it gives sustainability of services. Therefore, the service delivery is a precursor to some of the issues. And then over time, we can improve the issues of the payment plans, while even ourselves, our debt relief conditions are also strict, the same way ESCOM is doing. You need to demonstrate a particular performance over time. There are certain non-negotiable that the DG and the team, they've been able to put in place. We'll be able to share. But what we are dealing with, honorable members, we are fixing a car that is already on the road, not even on the road, it's on a highway. That's why this thing is declared as a national crisis. We have to be able to keep the car running. There will be failures along the road, but our ability to respond and stabilize the system, that's what we're banking on. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. Honorable Kobe.
Thank you very much, Chair. I'd like to greet yourself, Chair, our Honorable Deputy Minister who's leading the delegation, my honorable colleagues and everybody else who has joined us on the call. Chair, let me first appreciate the department for their presentation. I think they ran through it, but I think all the important details that they needed to get to us have been given to us. Also, equally appreciating them for the breakdown of projects, bulk water projects that have been sent to the portfolio committee. I think that helps substantially in helping us analyze and form a case for them. Chair, I'd like to start with my concern is that the department seems to be spending a lot more than they are performing, and that's highly concerning for me. I just have a couple of issues with all the programs. I'll start with program 1 as it relates to the administration, Chair. It has reached 65% of its targets, but it has spent 73% of its budget, Chair. My issue highly relates to the audit action plan. Why is it at 76%? And the risk management plan, Chair. A lot of the water service authorities, Chair, and the boards that have come to us what was lacking was their tightening of the audit action plan and risk management plans. And it seems to reverberate right to the department. So for me, that's concerning. And I just want to know, with regards to the accelerated plan, how do they plan on ensuring that the needle is moving in the right direction with regards to their risk management and audit plans? Okay, the second one is the vacancy rate and the capacity of the department. They've got high vacancy rates, which we have seen it translates into the underspending of compensation by 18 million rand. For me, what plans do they have to capacitate the department? Chair, and also this has now translated into an underperformance of Program 2 and Program 3 because they don't seem to have capacity to ensure that their projects are carried out on time. So for me, I just want to know what plan do they have in terms of capacitating and increasing the vacancy rate within the department in the next quarter? And also, most of the activities have been deferred to the next quarter. For example, health and safety inspections, the risk management plan as well. Some of the activities are deferred to the next quarter. I want to know, as to this quarter, why have they not been achieved? So it's good and well that they're moving and deferring things to the next quarter, but we as a portfolio committee would like some accountability as to why they have not been done and achieved within this quarter, especially given that they have the requisite budget. And the NWRA chair, they say that the process now, they have a nomination committee, but why hasn't the committee started with the nomination of the board members? What's the status quo on that? And when can we get a board sitting in that's a composition of a nominated board chair? That's what I want to know. Chair, the CMAs are also, they're underperforming there. They haven't reached critical milestones in that regard. And also, I think it's also a problem of capacitation issues. The last time the department came to us with regards to the CMAs, they said they had made significant headway in terms of capacitating them, and they had also had stakeholder engagements with the unions. I want to know how far that process is and which CMAs are still lacking, so that maybe we then should start our oversight with the CMAs, just so that next term we're not sitting with the same issues with the catchment management agencies, Chair. Chair, they also mentioned the issue of the records of implementation decisions for bulk water planning. Some of the issues I think are very minor and minute, and they shouldn't have affected you so much, especially with the procurement of with procurement processes and finding alternative suppliers. For me, Chair, I just want to know if the department has thought about having a panel of suppliers and contractors, so that when a supplier really lets them down, we have an alternative to jump onto without really restarting the process from the ground up, because that eats away at a lot of the time that we could have in terms of implementing and moving the projects forward. Chair, I'm highly disappointed in Program 3, very, very much disappointed. 44% of the targets were partially achieved, Chair. Not a single target was fully achieved across the program. The budget that's spent is the highest. It stands at 73.3, but it's really not translating into service delivery improvements, Chair. And for me, that is worrisome. Chair, I just want to speak to the 8 of the 21.
Can I ask you that you come in the second round?
All right, Chair, I'll do that.
Questions becomes too much for the department to deal with. Thank you.
Okay, Chair. Thank you very much. I'll do that.
Deputy Minister?
No, thank you so much, Chairperson, and thanks to Honorable Kobe, in as much as she decided to hide her face today, Chairperson.
Apologies.
No, thank you so much. The team will respond, Honorable Kobe. It does not necessarily mean that implementation will be a straight line. In other words, it becomes linear. When it comes to issues of expenditure vis-a-vis the non-financial performance information. But at the end of the day, you have a very good picture at the end of the financial year. One of the things that we have improved very significantly, Chair, if you can remember over time, was the huge gap between financial performance indicators and non-financial performance indicators. And some of these issues are actually because of the issues of the built environment, where sometimes you do material acquisition on time, and then while at the very same time, the work that is certified on the ground takes long, especially program 3. The challenges are huge because those are your infrastructure delivery, but the DG will speak to that. I just wanted to deal with the matter of the National Water Resource Infrastructure Agency. Internally, we've concluded all our processes. The minister very shortly will be making the submission to cabinet for concurrence. We've discussed this matter. They finalized the work, and we're very pleased that the board should be in place at the beginning of the financial year. But all the other preparatory work of the plans with National Treasury that they were supposed to submit, the business plan and all other matters, and they are part of the issues of my delegation assigned by Minister. I'm very pleased with the progress that is being made under the leadership of the DG and the CEO of TCTA, including our construction unit, those that should be migrating into the new organization. But let me allow the DG to deal with also these issues with the program managers, especially program 2 and program 3, where Honorable Kobe is worried about these issues that are partially achieved, the overall figure, and the other figures that are there, including the proposal she's making, DG, around procurement challenges, how far we are, including the issues where contractors fail. Because if contractors, they fail, Honorable Kobe, we must fire them. But then the processes of managing the transition, getting a new contractor must not be long-winded because it defeats the purpose of speedy delivery. Let's allow DG Phillips, with your permission, my chairperson, so that he can deal with some of those issues. Thank you so much.
Thank you, DG.
Thank you, Chairperson. I think the Deputy Minister has largely answered the question about the relationship between expenditure and the achievement of targets in the APP. It's not a linear relationship. There can be one target that takes up a lot of expenditure, and then there can be lots of targets which take up very little expenditure. It's not designed in such a way that there's a linear relationship between expenditure and achievement and targets. On the vacancy rate, the department doesn't have a high vacancy rate. The vacancy rate in the department is 4%. It used to have a technically high vacancy rate after we changed the organizational structure under Minister Nkunu. But we did emphasize at that time that most of those vacancies were unfunded. About 6 months ago, the DPSA gave an instruction to all departments to remove all unfunded posts from PERSOL, from the PERSOL system, which is what is used to formally define the vacancy rate. In terms of and we've obeyed that instruction from the DPSA, so in terms of the standard way of defining vacancies, our vacancy rate is 4% in terms of the vacant posts which are on PERSOL. We didn't have a very high under expenditure. I think Honourable Corby mentioned a figure of 18 billion. We didn't have that under expenditure on.
Spalele, can you maybe just mute yourself?
We didn't have that under.
DG, you can continue.
We didn't have high under expenditure on personnel. I'll ask Frans to just tell us what was our actual percentage expenditure on personnel, but I think it was about 98% of the personnel budget. But he can confirm that. We are, with the very little funding that we do have for filling of vacant posts, we are prioritizing the filling of technical positions. And we are on a continuous basis advertising for technical positions and filling them. But we, as with most departments in government, we don't have enough money to hire all the people that we would like to hire, and we can only capacitate ourselves within the limits of our available personnel budget. And our intention is to spend 100% or as close as possible to it, but certainly at least 98 or 99% of our personnel budget again this financial year. I think the Deputy Minister has covered the appointment of the NWRA board. The recruitment process and selection process is complete and is on its way to Cabinet. I'm going to ask firstly Toko, if you can come in to address Honourable Corby's questions about the CMAs, please. But maybe if I could just say the CMAs most of the CMAs have only just been created. We did previously report to the Portfolio Committee that they were going to be partially staffed by transferring staff from the department to the CMAs. And that had to be done in terms of processes negotiated with the bargaining chamber with the unions. Honourable Corby, the progress to date is that is almost complete. Quite a large number of staff have been transferred to the new CMAs, and there are a few additional staff who previously declined to be transferred, who are now asking to be transferred, but it's substantially complete. And we have now written to the CMA saying that now that the process is complete, they can now proceed with filling their remaining vacancies now that we've transferred staff from the department. So Toko, if you can come in on that one. And then Babawa, I'd also like you to come in after Toko, please, to answer the questions about some of the other targets and indicators in the APP. And then Frans, if you could also come in after Toko, please. After Babawa, please. Toko.
Thank you, DG Chairperson DM. I'm proceeding with Honorable Kobe's question around the CMAs. The DG is correct that the transitional period is almost finalized. By end of March, it will be finalized. The chief executives have been recruited, and two of them are now to be tabled in Cabinet for concurrence by the Cabinet, and two have been appointed. They will be starting in April. The executive positions have also be filled. Where they are not filled, we have acting people in place. We are hoping, Honorable Kobe, that the performance is going to improve in the next quarter. It's just that the third quarter we focused mainly on the issue of the transfer of staff. But all the CMAs, the boards, have prepared their APPs, which have now been tabled for the next financial year, and they have also dealt with their recruitment for all the staff that they need. So we are ready for the next financial year in terms of the starting with the key indicators as outlined in the APP. So when the transitional period ends in end of March, we are definitely sure that the things are going to improve, and we will only continue with the memorandum of understanding to support the CMAs where they do not have capacity. Thank you, DG. Thanks.
Opawa?
Thank you, DG. Yes, with regards to the internal audit action plan, there were just some technical audits that could not be finalized cumulatively coming from the previous quarters. The current acceleration plan is to get these technical audits outsourced so that they can augment the internal audit capacity to actually finalize them. I must indicate that looking at the acceleration plan, there is a substantial improvement, and we foresee that they should be able to meet their 100% target by the end of the financial year. With risk, there is just a couple of the activities that could not be done based on the also need to actually get external support into the department. Some of them will be able to be achieved by the end of the quarter, as the acceleration plan is also underway. But maybe just one that needs to be finalized, which required a combined assurance, maybe will be one of those that could not be met by the end of the financial year. But the acceleration plan is also underway to improve and ensure that the target is met. Thanks, DG.
Thank you, DG. On the last, yes, thank you very much. On the last point, DG is correct that the full 2 billion will be spent by the end of the financial year. As we are now on the 24th, we are almost close to 99. We are just finalizing some of the third-party payments. And we did make provision also for those critical funded posts and officials who are transferring from the CMAs in the outer years. But for this financial year, we can confirm that we will be utilizing the full adjusted allocation. Thanks.
Thank you, Frans. That's for the personnel budget. You're saying there'll be 99 or 100% expenditure on the personnel budget?
That's correct, yes.
Okay, the other question we need to answer of Honourable Corby is on the issue of the appointment of service providers and contractors from panels. Honourable Corby, I'll make an initial response and then ask Frans to come in again, the CFO. We do have panels for professional service providers so that we can appoint professional service providers such as civil engineering companies, project management companies more quickly than having to go through a whole procurement process every time we need their services. And we're in the process of putting in place framework contracts for contractors. Contractors need to be dealt with differently to professional service providers because of the nature of the work involved. There is this mechanism of framework contracts that can be used, which wasn't used by the departments in the past, but we are 2/3 of the way through procurement processes for creating framework contracts. In terms of these framework contracts, it's a two-stage procurement process. In the first stage, contractors have to meet requirements in terms of capacity, proven ability to build, etc. And they give a for how they're going to price items when we do appoint them from the framework contract. And then in the second stage of the process, we then get them to provide more detail. Have these framework contracts in place with a number of contractors who can then be given work orders against those framework contracts, which will be a lot quicker than going through a new procurement process. Apart from the framework contracts, if contractors don't perform, there are provisions in the contract documents for processes that have to be gone through. You have to follow the process to be careful not to have legal action taken against you, and then you could potentially lose more money, and it could potentially result in more delays. So we have to follow the contractual processes, but we do that when our project managers and line functions indicate that a contract is not performing and not making an effort to improve. We do initiate the process of terminating the contract. And in some instances where the work is urgent, we then get our construction units to come in and complete the work. In other instances, in the absence of these framework contracts so far, we have to go out on tender to appoint an alternative contractor where the work is done by ourselves. But once we have the framework contracts in place, then we should be able to have replacement contractors on site more quickly. Frans, would you like to add?
Yes, thank you, DG. That is correct. We do have a list of those pre-approved service providers. We also have under our Chief Directorate for Internal Audit, which they use for forensics as well. We also had for laboratory services. There are quite a number of those, but we also make use of National Treasury's transversal contracts as well. It's another form of those pre-approved lists. And then, as correctly stated, DG, we do have challenges with the service providers or contractors. We have activated the provisions of instruction note from National Treasury. The last one that we have done from one of the service providers, it was to restrict them from doing business with the state, which we successfully did with National Treasury. And it was done, I think it was around February. So we have to follow those requirements that they've stipulated, and they are very strict. We have to give the service provider also an opportunity to respond. And once we are able to provide evidence to the National Treasury that there are issues of performance or even fraud, in this case that we had, where we had to restrict the suppliers, we do that. So we do it with our direct suppliers, but we are also now working with our implementing agents to ensure that they also activate the same for the projects that they're implementing on behalf of the department. Thanks.
Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you very much. Honorable Kobe.
Thank you very much, Chair.
Comprehensive report for you. Are you satisfied?
Very comprehensive, Chair. Chair, maybe if they could then, because it sounds like they are effective in what they are doing, if maybe they could explain to us then why has the Tsenin Dam not been completed, and there's been now an extension because it was supposed to be completed now in March. Now there's been an extension to December. Because I do understand now that they do have these processes that would sort of mitigate the issue of having prolonged processes of and delays with regards to suppliers. So maybe if they could just give that to us. But Chair, maybe if the department could share with us the accelerated program, the water accelerated program that they have, with their key deliverables and milestones, and that could help us when they come and report on those issues and their deliverables. Chair, as well as maybe if we can have a presentation of projects alone, the presentation that they sent to us earlier. If the department could, at one of these days, this is just my request to you as the chair, if they could maybe be featured into one of our programs, so that this could inform also our oversight program. Thank you, Chair. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Dankie. Maybe DG, could you maybe answer the Tsenin Dam, and then the others we will arrange from the committee side.
Thank you, Chair. I'd like to ask our Acting DDG for Infrastructure, Livawani Mabuda, to come in on that one. Livawani?
No, thanks, Chairperson. Thanks, DG, Deputy Minister. We have included a slide or two slides in the additional slides on Tsenin Dam. But just to summarize, we had an unfortunate high precipitation rate around that area, the floods in Limpopo that really affected us. But on top of that, we also had an issue with poor performance of subcontractors who were supplying us with formwork. We are solving that with the assistance of the implementing agent, the DBSA, and we will be back on track as soon as the river subsides. The other issue was also poor performance on the drilling and grouting at the spillway section that we have excavated or blasted or removed the top so that we can have a competent joining or forming of the new works that we have to put in place to raise the dam. DG Minister and DG DM and Chairperson. Those are the main issues around that. There have been sporadic disruptions or impact on the program by the forum, business forum people, but through our engagement and support from political leadership in the local government and the province, these were limited to a few periods of time. So we are back on track. It's just that there is high flows now over the dam wall. Thanks.
Thank you very much for that.
Chairperson,
Yes, honourable member.
What we'll do, we'll just give you how many days we've lost. Everyone likes using high scientific word. Precipitation means high levels of rainfall. And how many did we lose on the basis of rainfall? The disturbances that was caused by people who demand work. And also just for Honorable Kobe to appreciate, will also indicate working on an existing infrastructure, Honorable Chair, you know, is called a brownfield. There, when you look at the dam wall there, at the outfall, you can't take chances, Honorable Chairperson. You make a small mistake, not good contractors, and if there's a dam wall failure there, we can cause the biggest proportion of infrastructure failure that will impact on lives and livelihoods. But the numbers, we'll share them, but we'll also share our acceleration plan. Even in the meantime, that area in Zanini and elsewhere, including in Vembe, Mpumalanga and KwaZulu-Natal, there's a lot of high rainfall that is still being predicted. The stability of the soil and other issues will always be affected. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're right, Honourable Minister. You know, grouting could take you 3 times longer than you expect it would take when you put cement under pressure into the foundations. So, you know, and that you can't, you've got to wait till that grouting is completed in that area. But Honourable Member, I believe you've been now answered. Are you satisfied, Honourable Kobe?
Yes, Chair. I don't know technical terms like grouting, but I do understand the simplified layman's terms. Thank you very much for that explanation.
We'll take you to show you how grouting works.
I'll be her consultant if she can pay me, Chair.
Yeah. We'll take it to Clem William to show her how grouting works, but I presume they've completed grouting in Clem William now. But anyway, I will explain when I see her. I'll explain grouting to her. And I will do it for free, Honourable Kobe, not like the minister wants to ask you money. Colleagues, that was the questions. Honourable Diale, you had your hand up, but it went down. Is there still a question that you would like to ask?
No, Chair, thank you. I'm covered. My questions were asked and answered successfully. Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Is there any other member that would like to ask a question? Honourable Kobe, I see your hands up.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, this one is just as it relates to the political interventions that I think when the Deputy President and the Minister were in Guyana, the Middle Letaba Dam, Chair, it's full to capacity now. We are seeing videos that are circulated and it's looking absolutely stunning. but communities are still not getting that water because, it's been blocked and used for private use, especially the farms around that area that are huge commercial farms. I just want to know maybe if the department can give us a report about that intervention that they did, and if they're able to sort of remove that deadlock between the farmers that are using the water for private use and the community. That's all, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll ask the department to send us a report in the next 14 days. Any other member that would like to ask further questions? It seems not.
Chair, on the Mitleletaba, there's something I want to say for record.
Yes, Minister.
On Mitleletaba, we commissioned a report on the allegations that were made against ZZ2. And the minister appointed an advisory committee by retired Judge Mwepe. The report has been finalized. We should be able to go back. We're just going to find time. We go back to those communities and report. Our attitude is that we'll also brief the committee on the report, because some of the issues that have been raised is for people who don't understand that catchment has been subjected to drought condition for some time, and the runoff in that catchment is a problem. But there is also the issues of historical water use licensing called existing lawful use, and we're looking at alternatives where water will come from in that particular down in the catchment, so that we can create an additional dam. Those are some of the issues we're looking at. But we received very good rains, and for the first time the dam is full. And our attitude as a ministry, that after so many years in that catchment, we've received higher than normal average rainfall, Chair, because that's what has happened. That will still insist that water must be used sparingly there. It does not mean that we just have to use water in a manner that is not efficient. Downstream, when you go towards Mopani, and we know that the treatment works, there's work we're doing to expand the capacity, but also the canal that is there. But very shortly, we are prepared to give that report. But in 14 days, Chairperson will not be able to meet that one because the minister wants to formally release the report to the communities, and then we'll share with the other structures. Thank you so much.
Thank you for that. We understand as soon as that is then available, Deputy Minister, can we then get that, also that report, the investigation report, if you can include that. Colleagues, that is then the end of today's meeting. Thank you very much to the Deputy Minister, the DG and his personnel, all our members, and then see you later in the House. This meeting is adjourned.
Thank you very much, Chairperson.
Chairperson, bring us water. It's too hot in Cape Town.